Hello everyone! Today we have a video review of as many as 2 parcels from the Gvda company, namely a digital magnetic level protractor. And we also have a soldering iron in this box, but more on that later. Let's put it aside and talk about this level in more detail now. Let us open it with you. Here we are, met with instructions in the form of a booklet in English. And then we already have the digital magnetic level itself, the appearance of the digital level. You and I have a normal profile like that of a construction bubble of our level. I want to say that you and I are at a decent level. From the ends, our profile is closed with plastic caps. This is a pretty good solution. Dust will not accumulate inside, for example. And they also made a small hole for our convenience. You can pull a string there or simply hang a string on this string, which you tied on a nail for storage on the case. You and I also have this kind of marking. Also, the length of the working segment is 100 millimeters. In the back, you and I have a compartment for batteries of the type 3 letters, but they are not included in the kit. We will have to purchase them separately. Further down, you and I have 4 magnets. They are round in shape for fixing the level plane. Magnets are extremely powerful. I mean, they are made of liquid alloy. They perfectly hold the level in any position, even in an inclined or upright position. In addition, you and I have 2 levels of any kind for 0 and 90 degrees, which will allow us to roughly set the position of the plane. This is how they look with you and me. We also have a display. Let's turn it on with you. So included, and on the sides, you and I see 2 physical buttons of red and gray. The display with us can display the absolute position of the relationship, freeze readings, and also display angles in degrees, millimeters, and meters. The accuracy of the measurement between you and me is 10 degrees in the range from 0 to 90 degrees and in the range from 0 to 180 degrees. The accuracy is 0 for the whole 90 degrees. The resolution of the scale you and I have is 0.1 degree. Our display automatically turns off after 5 minutes if you do not use it. The level allows us to switch between an absolute measurement relative to the ground level and a relative one, switching a short click on the button or off. The display with us still shows the direction of the slope with a small arrow up or down. So we can see now it is down, and it will also be possible to make it up. It is quite convenient for the general assessment and orientation of the structures being assembled. Roughly speaking, in which direction should a part of the structure be shifted to level the level. Also, we have here a useful function of holding readings. That is, it measures the angle in the right place. Press the hold button, and now you can take readings with the level. You and I also have a long press of the halt or slide button. We will have it with you. Turn on the display backlight. You and I also have an angle measurement system that can be oriented in space. That is, for example, he himself understands how you put our measuring device with you, and he will then be able to switch to the desired position by himself using orientation. Let's see, it switches between you and me. And let me show you these magnets, how they can move with the magnet. I attached a metal ruler and it holds quite firmly. It is even a little difficult to remove it from the magnets. And of course, this level can be fixed, for example, in a garage, on a machine, on a wall or door, or on any metal surface. Yes, now I put it on the table and we can see that we have a bubble in the middle, which really indicates that the table between you and I is quite evenly made. Well, that's basically all I wanted to say about this level. And now let's move on to our soldering iron, which is in this box. We open it, and here we see, you and me, quite a lot of sets meet. Let's get them with you. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Yes, we get 5 packages in total. It is, of course, worth saying that this is the maximum configuration. But let's start with the most interesting, and open the soldering iron first. On the back of the box, we have some information about the soldering iron. This is how it is presented to you and me. The soldering iron himself meets you right away. But let's put it aside and see what else you and I have in the package. And here you and I have such an adapter from USB to such a port. Next, a cable for connecting USB to 12SI in black color. Next, you and I have this kind of tube for soldering with a thin section like this. Let us open it. By the way, let's look at him. This is how it looks inside, and this is how it looks from the outside. Next, we see the name comes with a metal holder for our soldering iron. It is so common that it is often included in various soldering kits. And of course, the instructions are in Chinese and English. In the language, everything should be intuitively clear how to use this soldering iron. And here is the soldering iron itself. It feels quite so light. We have such a nozzle here. She can shoot with you. Here you and I have a digital display, and the body we have here is made of aluminum from an aluminum alloy. And now let's see what you and I are packing in a separate box. Let's take the biggest one. Let's open and get it. And you and I have a 10-watt power supply here. This is the power we need to use the soldering iron at full strength. And here it will also be possible to look at the characteristics of this charger from the other side. We also have an outlet here from above. And you can also immediately say that if you already have such a powerful power supply unit, or even as much power as possible, then it is not necessary to buy it. Next, let's open the next box, which can be added to this soldering iron. Now we will get it with you, and this is such a cooler holder for a soldering iron. Here we can open it. It is already made of thicker and high quality metal, but inside we have such a bonus, a sponge for cleaning the soldering iron. This is how all this work is mounted with you. And it would seem, why overpay and buy this stand separately when you can get by with a simpler metal stand, which is included in the set like this one. But it has its advantages. I want to say, and let's remember that you and I have 2 holes on each side, that is a total of 4 holes. And then I will tell you what they are needed for. Next, let's open the next box and see what's inside. And here you and I have such holders that bend. By the way, there are 4 of them here, and accordingly, you and I have 4 such clamps with rubber tips. All this work is assembled quite easily. We screw the tips onto our base, and everything is basically screwed, and now it is ready for work. And now we screw these clamps to our auxiliary stand. Remember what I said? Why do we have these 4 holes here? Now I will show you that we need them for these clamps. And you and I will get such a convenient holder, for example, for payment, which you want to solder, and which can be easily raised to different angles and made so that it is convenient for you to solder. And who else does not have such an add-on? I advise you to buy it. For example, here I have a board, and here I click yes, and now I can use it to tilt at any angle and to make it easier to solder it. Well, the last additional set that you and I have is ours. Additional stingers of the T2 type stingers come in 4 sets of different formats, or rather with 4 different tips. This is what they look like. And the first sting you and I have is a cone type. This is how it looks. Next comes you and me. The needle type is suitable for SMD components with a small number of legs. Then it stings with this method. And the last thing you and I have is a similar knife. Such a pity. And it is worth saying that you and I have such a sting in the basic set with a soldering iron. Let's see what they look like and what a similar sting is. Only in a larger size we see you and I on the soldering iron itself. It is slightly larger than the auxiliary equipment. And now let's dwell on the soldering iron in more detail. It's a soldering iron. You can say it's like a pencil. It sits very comfortably in the hand. That's it. It is light, weighs about 100 grams, has up to 20 watts of power, and, as it is claimed, has a heating speed of 8 seconds. Our metal case is made of aluminum alloy. The body, see, has such a triangular shape. That is, it is not rounded, and this is a good solution compared to the same classic cylindrical shape. You and I are using the USB port here to connect. Yes, I have already connected it to the network. I see that there is an LED display here. There are all kinds of smart soldering iron chips, such as automatic shutdown. Next, the definition of sleep mode, work mode, a double temperature sensor, and there is even intelligent temperature compensation. We see on the display what name all information is present, the number of degrees, and the number in percentage ratio. We also have 2 plastic buttons, but the manufacturing quality is usually good. Nothing flies or creaks. We have about 10 centimeters in length. The sting itself is 4 centimeters by 20 centimeters. The very length of the soldering iron. By default, it's 300 degrees here with you. And let's go to the settings. To enter the setting mode, press 2 buttons and see that you and I have entered the settings menu. To describe the menu, you need to press the right button, and you can see that the first item you and I have is val info. He and I will show what we have with you. The soldering iron works with a voltage of 12 or 12 volts with you and me, and its current temperature is... Now let's look at approximately 20 degrees or 100. Then the next point is the temperature. A step is a temperature step from 1 to 25. Further in these settlements, for example, step, temp, step times, sleep time. You can set the time after which the soldering iron goes into sleep mode, the temperature at which the soldering iron will go down, and the time without movement after which the soldering iron goes into sleep mode. In general, you can customize it for yourself. The sixth manager work wall shows the operating modes, voltage, amperage, and power at which the soldering iron works. The next point is the tempo unit. Here you can set degrees or Fahrenheit. Following, you and I are changing the language from English to Chinese, and you and I will be able to turn the display 120 degrees, and that's all. Now we see that he has returned. Then the 10th point. As you and I do it, it's automatic. You and I have heating on or off when power is supplied. And then the tempo is the temperature calibration, when the temperature of the soldering iron does not match the actual temperature, and who has a temperature sensor can check and from calibration. But the last point is between you and me, software version. Version 2.9. Now let's see how quickly you and I get rid of the sting. We unscrew this nut. Next, we remove the sting itself, exchange it for another, for example, a similar needle. Let's spin this whole business and everything. Now you and I have another sting that can be used quite quickly. This whole business is changing, and I also forgot to say that in the basic kit you and I have such a silicone thing, a silicone nozzle. Well, you can say that it will be ideal to solder something with it. Well, this is the set that you and I had today on a video review. Thanks for the review. Peace to all. Goodbye.